was 3 years since soul mining, but I took about a year off due to various reasons, health reasons, and also lack of motivation. So starting this project was a very big project because, first of all, it wasn't only an album, but there's also a book and a film. The film project being the 8 film videos, which we'll shortly see. And it involved a lot of musicians. I mean, the project in total involved 62 musicians, 4 directors, 3 co-producers, Andy Dog doing the paintings, and a photographer. There's a lot of people and a lot of control. And also, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. You know, I remix certain tracks about 4 times. I'm a perfectionist in my like of imperfection. I mean, I don't like, there's a lot of mistakes that I left in purposely because they fit in with my vision. And I've got a specific vision and I want to stay close to that, which isn't necessarily technical perfection, but it is idea perfection.
Was it very hard to convince CBS for this project because it's so huge?
No, not really. I think CBS was surprised that the last album sold so well. They actually told me before the last album came out that it wouldn't sell more than, say, 10 to 50,000, and it went on to sell like 750,000. So that gave me a lot of clout. The fact, and also all the CBS companies around the world were asking for the new project, and I took a lot of time out, and I put myself in a position where I was able to pretty much ask anything, and I gave anything, and I got what I wanted. You know, I said, well, I'm not working, and this is what I want to do. Blah 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 blah. This is all I'm prepared to do, and they were very supportive. In fact, I do have a lot of public arguments with CBS about different things. But to be quite fair, they, to me, I'm glad that I signed with CBS because they've been very supportive. They didn't really put pressure on me. They let me do exactly what I want. They're not allowed in the studio when I'm recording. I don't allow anyone in the studio. They didn't come on the video shoots. There's no interference at all on an artistic level. I have total artistic control over everything I do and the money to do what I want to do. So, in fact, I'm in a very lucky position. And as I said, I do have a lot of arguments with them, but they have been very good, you know, been very supportive. Generally, record companies aren't patrons to the arts, they're businesses. And whatever sells, if it's left-wing, if it's right-wing, if it's religious, they don't really care. Whatever sells, they'll go with. Unfortunately, it's a bit like Hollywood, you know, trends for films and stuff, where you have social conscious films because they are big business and they'll get behind them. Then you got Rambo kind of films, propaganda films, and they get behind them because they're big business. Whatever sells, whatever makes money and recoups and earns a profit, they will back. They really have no social conscience, and it's naive to think they do. So what I've basically done is use the mechanism that is CBS, which is a big, powerful medium for getting my stuff distributed and my ideas across. I've used that. You know, some people may say it's a contradiction to my sort of politics, but I don't think it is. You know, I'm just using it in the same way that, say, the Tories in Britain use the media. I think that Labour is starting to catch on that you've got to do that, and I've basically started to do that too, as a vehicle for my ideas. I think it's an aggressive way of putting across your ideas, and you've got to work and exist within the framework that exists, and I'm trying to use the mechanism that is CBS to put my ideas across. I mean, what I'm basically trying to do with this album and the film that surrounds it is remind people of the world they're living in, because I think from an early age you get bombarded with such horrific, powerful imagery. There's nothing in this. When people have seen this film, like the entirety, in a cinema with a big sound system, I'd say 98% of the people have walked out feeling very shocked by it. You know, it's hit them very hard. But really, all I'm saying is that these are not images that you've never seen before. You've seen them, but you see them over a period of time, and you become numb to them. You see more horrific things on the news, and you hear more swear words on comedy programs. But what I've done is basically concentrated it and put it in various orders and in a various shape. And it's hit people very hard, and all they're doing is being reminded of the world they're living in. I mean, they see things like this all the time anyway. With Infected, you can buy it on compact disc, cassette, long player, video, or you can buy the book. If you've got a piano, you can actually play it at home and sing it yourself. And so it's basically, I'm about to enter into uncharted territories. People have done similar things to this. Nobody's done anything like this before. You know, you've had home videos or videos which have been either bands playing live or all their singles put together. Nobody has done anything like this, conceived this thing from the beginning. Film is the medium that excites me at the moment. And also, as far as the goes, publishing books and film work as well as records. So it's something which I'm I've got like a fluid team of people that I work with, and when they're heading into waters which nobody else has been before, which really excites me, the fact that, which is what I always wanted to do, and that's what I feel very passionate about. And the kind of subject matter that I'm dealing with is going to get harder, more explicit, more political, really, without being dogmatic about things, but just trying to confront things, everyday things that most people don't want to think about. Yeah, Slow Train to Dawn was one which was filmed in the Midlands in Britain. Shot on black and white, directed by Tim Pope. It's almost got a silent movie quality to it. But also there's the humour, the frustration and the anger is relieved by the last scene with a small train running through. That track came in for a lot of criticism about the fact that it was sexist, with a girl being tied to the tracks and everything, which is ludicrous, because essentially the song is about the weakness of the man in a relationship with a woman anyway, and the fact that you have the little train going past shows the weakness of the man as opposed to the big train which he's in, and then you see the little train running through, which shows his real power within the relationship. I think that was a very successful, beautifully shot, beautifully lit video. Shot on 35mm as well, and it looks beautiful on the big screen when you see it. But I think it's very successful. It's a lot of people's favourite, actually, that one. I suppose, because my work tends to be very confessional. It's almost like a diary, laid bare. So, yeah, I mean, it's the same for any, you know, I just happen to write about it, and by doing so, I seem to touch quite a deep nerve. I mean, that's what my work seems to do. It touches a deep nerve, and people respond to that because they recognise the kind of things that I'm writing about. Pop music, by definition, is music which is popular, and obviously my stuff is becoming more popular, so by definition, I suppose I would become a pop artist, but I consider my stuff to have more longevity because it is not done, because of I don't do my work to fit in with the whims of fashion, like a lot of stuff. A lot of bands have got one eye on what they're doing and one eye on what is fashionable, and I'm blissfully unaware of what any of my contemporaries are doing, and I'm not interested. I just do what I do and respond to how I feel, and I'm not interested in the pop music genre. It's a very difficult situation, because I am really, as I said, touching a deep nerve within people, and my stuff is so confessional and very kind of naked anyway, and explicit, and it's bound to affect people in a way, and I'm wanting to affect people, but it's a bit hypocritical, because I'm wanting to affect people. I wanted to get, but if you accept one side, you've got to accept the other, and it's a bit of an odd situation, because I do not like publicity very much anyway. I do interviews purely to promote the work. I'm not interested in promoting myself as a personality. I'm interested in promoting the work, so therefore I'm doing a lot of interviews, but I don't want to become well known. I hate being recognised in public. I hate people coming up to me. I really get on edge by that, you know. I find it very, very uncomfortable. Infected is basically about desire, the way that desire perverts, corrupts, corrodes, distorts the human character on an individual level and a global level, like the ideological pollution which occurs when the West meets the third world in places like South America, Africa, Asia, and on an individual level, whereas the older you get, the more corrupt you get, in the sense that you start to justify your infidelities, your hypocrisies, all the things, all your ideals, which a few years ago you would have felt, yeah, you would have felt really guilty about, sort of like doing things. But the older you get, you start, and personally, in my case, it's almost like I've given myself an artistic license to be a cunt a lot of the times, really. I do things which a few years ago I would have really felt disgusted by, but now I think it's all in the name, well, I'm a songwriter, I can do that, which is a disgusting attitude to have. And really, I just think that it's, I think desire, I think particularly the way that the society of the West is constructed, whereby materialism, people are taught from an early age that this is what you aim for, and you have this goal which is very vacuous. It's only when you start to achieve material success that you realise how vacuous it is, because a lot of people unfortunately go through life without ever actually experiencing having any money, really, and so they perpetually think that that is a thing that will buy them happiness, and they aim towards it, and they never achieve it, and they die. But people that do achieve a certain amount, and over the past couple of years I achieved it to a certain amount, getting a lot of things that I always wanted. I thought, well, so what? The spiritual hunger still persists. When I said that Britain was the 51st state, maybe I should have changed that to Germany's the 51st, Belgium is probably the 54th, Britain is probably the 52nd, and it goes right up to the 200 or 300, including areas of Central South America, as well as Asia, Africa, as well as the rest of Europe. You know, I mean, it's a country which it imposes itself upon the world, so it's a very big country in that respect. In fact, I guess it inherited the empire of the West from Britain, I suppose, more than anything else. You know, it took over a lot of what Britain was running. So it is a very big country.
Because it seems you feel it's very perverted.
What I'm anti is American foreign policy, not really America itself. There are a lot of values in America, and the way of life I like. I spend quite a lot of time in New York anyway, and a lot of things that I like about that. The way of life I prefer to say in Britain. Britain is well on the way to becoming a third world country, to be quite honest. And the quality of life there is going down all the time. It's not particularly a pleasurable place to live. The quality of life in America is much higher in a lot of respects. But it's just the sort of gross commercialism, the materialism as an end in itself, you know, achieving that kind of vacuous pursuit of possession, material possession. Every surface, every wall is advertising something or other. And it's the way that their foreign policy, you know, every other nation's sovereignty is dispensable in the name of American national security, i.e. paranoia, their own paranoia. It's a very paranoid country, and it makes you, it's like paranoid people make you paranoid yourself, and that country is so paranoid that it makes you paranoid. Religion as it stands is inadequate because it teaches you to worship icons, and it teaches you basically to believe in something exterior to yourself. And I think that people are taught from a very early age to underestimate themselves and the power that they've got in themselves. I actually think that the way to any kind of enlightenment is purely through yourself, and by just putting the belief that you put in either politicians or religions or whatever into yourself, then that tunes you in to some kind of spiritual satisfaction or enlightenment. I think that is the way, and I think that maybe governments, either consciously or unconsciously, recognise that. So from an early age, this is being knocked out of people. Most people do not believe in themselves. The confidence is knocked out of them from an very early age, which makes them very manageable. I don't know myself how I want to be remembered. I know that I want to be remembered as being the best at what I did, and that's my aim, just to achieve perfection, because I get very frustrated, and I'm very aware of my own mistakes and the things that I mess up. My greatest critic is myself, you know. I mean, I chastise myself a lot for fucking things up, for messing things up, you know what I'm saying? And I'm aware, as soon as I've done something wrong, nobody's more aware than me, you know. I mean, if I read bad reviews or whatever, sometimes I disagree, but if they're right, then I would have known that anyway, you know. So I'm in the pursuit of perfection, or the pursuit of my own perfect imperfection.